Good morning and happy Monday to you. Welcome. This is NDTV Profit. My name is Alex Mathew and you're watching All You Need to Know. Over the course of the next half an hour, we'll tell you everything that you need to know to start your day on the right note. Let's start with the headlines. Asian markets trade mixed as the People's Bank of China keeps one-year medium-term lending facility rate unchanged. Separately, Japan's two-year yield falls below zero for the first time since July. Tata Consumer Products announces two acquisitions. Capital Foods and Organic India will be bought for 5,100 crore and 1,900 crore rupees respectively. As IT companies kick off the earnings season on a strong note, focus will now be on Reliance Industries, HDFC Bank and HUL, all of them announcing their results this week. Milind Deora quits the Congress and joins Eknath Shinde-led Shiv Sena. Says he quit to walk on the path of development. The World Economic Forum kicks off in Davos. Top political and corporate voices are set to attend the summit. Catch that coverage through the day. Now, Asian markets are trading mixed this morning, and this is as the People's Bank of China has kept the one-year medium-term lending facility interest rate unchanged at 2.5%. Remember, last week, China saw its annual exports drop for the first time in 7 years. Separately, Japan is seeing its two-year yield fall below the zero mark for the first time since July. In other news, the U.S. economy is set for an unexpected fiscal boost if lawmakers back a deal for $70 billion of tax breaks for businesses as well as families. That's according to a Bloomberg report. The proposal will need to pass through a Congress that is deeply divided at this juncture over the nation's fiscal trajectory, as some Republican lawmakers are pushing for deeper spending cuts as a condition for averting another government shutdown on the 19th of January as well as the 2nd of February when temporary funding expires. The worry, though, is that an injection of cash into the economy would hamper the Fed's attempts to cool inflation. Let's turn to the Indian equity markets then and talk about where we're likely to go today. I think a lot of eyes will be on that 22,000 mark for the Nifty 50, and Agam is here to tell you about the probability of us hitting that mark in the start. Morning, Agam, and happy Monday to you as well.
Yeah.
What are the chances? IT looks strong. Could they propel the benchmark further?
Yes, Alex, so there certainly is a very high probability that we could, in fact, move about the mark of 22,000 as far as the Nifty is concerned, because we saw a lot of buying on Friday. And it ever so happens that when you have a lot of buying on Friday, we have a little bit of buying or follow on as far as Mondays goes as well. And because we're not too far away from that 22,000 mark, which is about 100 odd points, a little over 100 points away, there's a high likelihood that we could in fact hit that. And are we expecting to see a pullback? That's another question altogether. But in terms of probability, there's a high chance of that happening. Now, as far as the Bank Nifty goes, again, unwinding coming through at about another 0.5% advancing there. And it essentially is the Bank Nifty which has taken a step back in this up move that we've seen on the Nifty. While Realty and IT have contributed to this up move, banking index hasn't so far. So the question really is that, is it going to be the banks which is going to push the Nifty even higher from here on? And for now, there is a lot more writing around puts in terms of open interest distribution. That means that a lot of participants are already expecting the Nifty to either move higher or be where it is at the moment, considering the put-call ratio at the moment. And, in terms of changes as well, we saw a lot of writing around puts, around the 21,800, 21,900 mark. So keep an eye on that one. Let's talk about stocks then. And again, a day where we saw a lot of buying coming. ONGC, Tata Consumers, of course, which will also be in focus on account of the acquisitions that's made today. Coforge, L&T Tech and HCL Technologies, all of them advancing with good gains coming in. And, well, we saw longs unwinding in Gujarat Gas, Exide and Dr. Lal Path Labs. But LTIM and Polycab, on the other hand, seeing about a short covering. So on the whole, we're seeing a substantial amount of stocks which have advanced. And the question really is that if there is follow-on buying, will we see the 22,000 mark? The probability at the moment is high.
All right, thanks so much, Agam. That's music to a lot of ears this morning. Let's talk about Tata Consumer Products, and this is something that Agam alluded to as well. It's going to be in focus today on account of major acquisitions that it has announced. One of them, of course, is Capital Foods, in which the company will initially buy about 75% stake and then will take it up to 100% over the intervening years. And there's also Organic Foods. Those two entities have a combined enterprise value of 7,000 crore rupees. We've got Sesha joining in with more details on how that will be funded and what the path ahead is. Morning, Sesha. What can you tell us?
Right, so what we are given to understand that Tata Consumer will be using a combination of cash reserves, debt and equity issuance through rights issue or any other mode which is subject to board approval to kind of finance the deals. Given that as of September 30, according to its investor presentation, it has a cash reserve of 2,500 crore on its books. So which means that they will have to raise the additional amount through either rights issue or through debt and equity issuance, again subject to the board approval. Now what we understand is that the buyouts will add immediately about 1,100 crore to the top line directly in FY24 based on the estimated sales of both the companies, that is Capital Foods and Organic India. Now, however, we are given to understand that the deals will not immediately boost the earnings of TCPL because it expects EPS break even only in the second year of operations, that is FY26, and be accretive thereafter. Now, given the synergies, the buyouts has the potential to capture significant revenue and cost synergies to boost the company's growth. It expects sustained double-digit top-line growth from both the companies. It has a potential to increase the general trade footprint by 10x for Capital Foods and multifold for Organic India, which is present in just 24,000 outlets. It also has the potential to enhance export footprint, higher capacity utilization and optimize the trade margins. So it also facilitates Tata Consumer's entry into high growth categories with significant potential and also cater to a wide gamut of Indian palette. So for Capital Foods, if we have to look at the total addressable market, it is pegged at around 21,000 crore and it is estimated to grow at 13% CAGR till 2027, and the same for Organic Food is about 82,000 crore globally, which is pegged to grow at 11% CAGR in India and 8% in the international market till FY28.
Right, thanks so much, Sesha, for bringing us those details. Stock of Tata Consumer Products has been on a bit of a tear. Just so far in 2024, it's up close to 7%. And if you look at over the last 12 months, it has gained over 50%. It's certainly a stock that you would want to watch out for in trade today. And we'll bring you more analysis before the start of trade, so do watch out for that. Let's turn attention to the IT space, where HCL Tech and Wipro were the third and the fourth major IT companies to come out with their earnings for the third quarter. Remember, the IT index as a whole on Friday gained over 5%, and the chances are that the gains are not done just yet, and that's probably on the back of these earnings. To tell you more about the fine print of those two companies, I'm joined by Tushar this morning. Tushar, what can you tell us?
Good morning, Alex. So the earnings of Wipro and HCL Tech both came out on Friday. The numbers are for HCL Tech were extraordinary, almost an outlier among the top tier IT pack. Revenue up 6.65%, EBITDA 14.7%, all down to the fact of two deals that the company struck in the second quarter, during the second quarter, between July and September, that were a $2 billion deal with Verizon, as well as another deal with Germany's ASAP Inc. and Autotech ER&D company. So both those deals have gone on the floors, they're ramping up, and that is showing in its earnings. So what are the key takeaways? Quickly, if we go through it, FY24 guidance has been revised, however, to lower to 5.0 to 5.5% from 5 to 6.0%. The FY24 EBIT guidance is maintained at 18 to 19%. The growth, as we discussed earlier, was driven by, again, Verizon and ASAP. So we'll see all that panning out in the future as well. The total contract value, or the value of deal wins in Q3, reduced significantly, $1.9 billion. But you have to remember that Q2 was a time when the Verizon deal was struck, and the TCV then had come up to about $4 billion. Coming to Wipro, the numbers were down everywhere, except the fact that the company has maintained its EBIT margins at about 16%. Now, what the company is saying is that it has revised its guidance to a very tight band of minus 1.5 to positive 0.5%, from minus 3.5% to minus 1.5% it had expected in Q3. The company says it's seeing some green shoots in the discretionary spending. No other company has said so. So it's, again, a surprise that Wipro is saying so. The consulting business under Capco, remember Capco was acquired by Wipro about 2 or 3 years ago. It's what Wipro is saying, that it's starting to pay off. There was a double-digit growth in the order inflow quarter on quarter. So essentially, the discretionary spending may be happening in the consulting space. Profitability, again, maintained at 16%. $3.8 billion order book, 14 large deal wins of more than $30 million each. The headcount, however, has dipped by about 4,500. Excuse me.
Right. No problem. So I think you've covered most of it, Tushar. Thanks so much for bringing us those details. And in fact, those are two companies that you would want to watch out for in trade today. Let's talk about the World Economic Forum as well. That kicks off in Davos today. And we're, of course, going to get you all of the coverage from there. To set you up, though, my colleague Neeraj Shah sends his greetings and, of course, a mood check from Davos. Take a look.
We'll have a slew of some very strong voices all through the next 3 or 4 days on NDTV Profit, starting today with Manish Kejriwal coming in sometime around India market close. But that notwithstanding, top corporate voices, some top political leaders that Vishnu Shom from NDTV would be doing as well. So one thing that I commit to you guys before I hand it back to you is that the India calling is very, very strong here. I thought last year was strong. This year seems to be even stronger. And all the conversations that we'll do, we'll have 2 specific pockets for sure, which is one, the India interest that each of these global corporations have, and the confidence that the Indian corporations have when they're talking to their global counterparts. And 2, what do decision makers, both on the company side as well as on the investment side, think about the higher for longer interest rates, even as we look at 2024 being a year wherein interest rates come down. So I think these will be the 2 things that we will largely focus on. But yes, with this, it's back to you guys.
All right, there you go. In frigid Davos, we'll get you the coverage through the day. We have to slip into a very quick break. There's more on the other side, so do stay tuned. Welcome back. You're watching All You Need to Know on NDTV Profit. Now, let's focus in on some stocks that you should know about before we start trade today. And one of them certainly is something we've already spoken about, which is Wipro. And the reason I'm pointing this out again is because the ADR is up as much as 17%. And that indicates that the stock is in all probability going to open gap up today. So you should watch out for not just Wipro, of course, but the entire IT pack. It ended about 4% higher on Friday as well. But a few other stocks that are in the news, among them, of course, you have Adani Enterprises as well as BHEL and Lupin, and a big deal in Nykaa to tell you about. We've got Varsha joining in to give you some perspective on all of those. Morning, Varsha. What can you tell us?
Good morning, Alex. So as you rightly said, so let's start with Adani Enterprises, wherein it gets LOA from Solar Energy Corp for setting up electrolyzers. Now this is under PLI scheme. Now company will set up alkaline electrolyzers manufacturing capacity of 198 megawatt. Now this is as per part of a green hydrogen mission. Also, since this is under PLI scheme, so maximum incentive will be for 5 years, of which is set at rupees 293 crore, and manufacturing facility will be set up in 30 months. Then we have BHEL, where it gets LOA for Talibira, a thermal power project in Odisha from NLC India. Now contract is for supply of equipment, commissioning and civil works. The size of contract is almost 5,000 crores, and time period within which this contract need to be executed is 64 months. Then we have Lupin, where it got FDA approval for one of the drugs which is used for hypertension and migraine. This drug will be manufactured at company's Pithampur facility, and also estimated sales as per November 23 is almost $71 million. Lastly, we have FSN e-commerce, popularly known as Nykaa, wherein Lexdel International has sold almost 0.91% stake in the company, and this Lexdel International is owned by Harinderpal Singh Bagga. Now stake is sold at an average price of 183 a piece, and the total transaction valued is almost 495 crore. Now, as on September 2023, Harinderpal Singh Bagga owns almost 6% in the company.
Understood. All right. Thanks so much for bringing us those details. We spoke about Tata Consumer earlier, and that company is, of course, raising, or the board has approved the raising of over 3,000 crore rupees, likely through a rights issue, and that's one to watch out for. But there's also other fundraisers that you should know about. Among them, Good Luck India as well as eMudra are planning to raise funds through QIP. We've got Harsh joining in to give you some details on that. Morning, Harsh. What can you tell us?
Well, good morning, Alex. Yes, we'd start talking about a slew of QIPs coming. Markets at the top. Lots of companies raising funds on the back of that as well. You have the likes of an Anant Raj raising 500 crore. Issue price is 296 per share. Stock closed at around 328 rupees per share on the 12th of January, which is Friday, implying a discount of roughly 10% to the close, yes, on Friday rather. Quickly moving on, you have the likes of a Good Luck India also opening its QIP, 200 crore QIP issue. The floor price is set at 989 per share. It indicates a rough 10% discount again on the current market price at close on Friday. You also have the likes of an eMudra, as you correctly pointed out, Alex. You have that raising around 200 crore of QIP. Of course, NBFC looking for funds. That's one piece. You have the floor price, which is currently set at 443.5 rupees per share. That indicates roughly a 5% discount to current market price. All of those will be in focus. Have to wait and watch how they buzz.
So much, Harsh, for bringing us those details. Let's focus in on earnings then, and we've got a few large counters to watch out for. Among them, you have Avenue Supermarts that has reported its results for the third quarter. Anushi is joining in to tell you about that company as well as the other updates that she has. Anushi, what can you tell us about the earnings that you've picked up?
Right. So 4 earnings in focus today. I'll start off with the big one, that is Avenue Supermarts, wherein the company's revenue and PAT has come above the expectations, with the revenue showing about a 17% growth at rupees 13,572 crore compared to its market expectation of about 13,374 crore. The EBITDA also saw about a 16% growth, while the margins were up by only 9 pips at 8.25%, which was lower than the street estimates of about 8.3%. 0.34%, while the net profit was up about 17.1%, beating the 765 crore of market estimates. Other key highlights for Avenue is that the company reported a total store count of about 341, adding about 5 new stores in the quarter. Now, the next one that I have is Just Dial, which has come out with its results, wherein its revenue and PAT came out below the street expectations. So revenue was up about 1.7%, missing the rupees 269 crore estimates. Then there was EBITDA, which showed about a 24% sequential growth at rupees 60.4 crore, beating the 54.8 crore of estimates. And the margins saw a meaningful expansion over here by being up about 406 bips at 22.77%. Other key highlights for this one was cumulative JD app downloads increased to 35.8 million compared to 35 million, and the active paid campaigns were up by about 1.1% in this quarter. The stock, however, was down 1.1% in the last trading session and has been about 9.1% up in the last 6 months. Then we have Dent Networks, which showed about its revenue was down about 1.5% year on year at rupees 272 crore, while its EBITDA was up by 8.6% and EBITDA margin stood at about 14.8%. So a mixed bag for Dent Networks over here. And finally, we have Anand Rathi Wealth, which was a beat across both the fronts if we look at revenue and PAT, with its revenue growing at about 32% at rupees 182 crore, beating the street estimates of about 188 crore, while its net profit saw about a 34% jump at rupees 58 crore, beating the 56.5 crore of estimates. Over here, also the company reported that its AUM, assets under management, has shown about a 43% uptick at rupees 55,057 crore compared to 38,517 crore last year. But the client attrition was ticked up slightly to 0.29% compared to 0.23% previously. So that's all the earnings that you should be focusing for today.
All right, thanks so much, Anushi, for bringing us those details. Now, already getting you a snapshot of a conversation from Davos, my colleague Neeraj Shah spoke with Jagdeshwar Gattu, who is the president of Digital Foundation Services at HCL Tech. And they spoke about how the need for a more secure network among enterprises has only gone up. Listen in.
We see that the enterprises now putting a lot of effort on investments in terms of security. What we used to see 2-3 years back about 7 to 8% of the deal value, now security actually almost becoming 20 to 25% of the deal value. There are standalone deals we are seeing in the security space, and there are standalone deals we're seeing in the network space, because it's almost like you're doing a catch-up game. You sort of went into a cloud journey, you went into the COVID because of the workplace endpoint security point of view. Then now you are trying to transform your network, transform your security.
And you can find that entire conversation on the website as well as on our social media platform. Now, in politics, Milind Deora has quit the Congress and joined Eknath Shinde-led Shiv Sena. He spoke to NDTV and he also spoke about how the Congress's attack on industrialists was wrong. Listen in.
To me, it's wrong to say that for a party that unleashed economic reforms, for example, Dr. Manmohan Singh is a member of parliament. He was the pioneer, the steward of economic reforms in India 32 years ago. Have you once heard him naming an industrialist, attacking businessmen? Not once. He will attack institutional incapacities. He will attack institutional problems that need to be safeguarded, which is constructive politics. And this is something which is unacceptable to me. This is something which I can't imagine that the leaders of the past would do this in the Congress party, would make personal statements against the Prime Minister of India, would make personal statements against any businessman, against anyone. There is a way to attack, there is a way to hold government accountable, to do it in a dignified parliamentary manner. And it's very sad that a party, a great party, once upon a time it was a great party, has gone down to the level of naming people, abusing people, calling people names, calling the Prime Minister names. I can't imagine that. And if you've seen my track record over 20 years, and in the last 10 years, Not once have I made personal statements against anyone. Not once.
All right, so that's the latest from the political landscape. And just before you start lining up for trade today, just a quick glance at the snapshot of the Asia markets as things stand right now. Most of them are currently open, and we've got a mixed picture at this juncture. You have the Nikkei 225 that's trading with gains of about 0.75% or thereabouts. And you have the Chinese markets that are trading mixed at this juncture. Remember, the PBOC kept its policy rates unchanged, and it was expected by quite a few people to cut the rates to support the economy there. You have the Kospi that's trading flat at this juncture. But more on the Indian equity markets in just a short while, and starting, of course, with a conversation on where does IT take us today. You'll find all of that and more on India Market Open. Do stay tuned. This is NDTV Profit.